back. I know it's been quite some time here, but we got another episode of Bone Apple Tea. And today we got a special guest, Nikki G. And so Nikki G, it's been honestly a long time coming for this one as well. And we have him on to talk about, so he actually just released a project. We talk about his project that he just released.
Start a new 12-step program.
Yeah, start a new 12-step program. Check it out on Spotify and all listening platforms. We go into a whole bunch of things, basically his writing process, how he got started. So he's good friends with Joe B, who we've had on the show before, kind of how they met and how they became boys and, started popping off and all at once started releasing music finally, so it's good. So we finally had Nikki G on. Now that he's got a bunch of stuff out, you can definitely go check him out on like all kinds of platforms. He's got some video content out too, which is dope. I
guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
We'll keep it short and sweet. We'll get right into it. I think that's the way to be.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Enjoy. Holy crap. We're back, dude. What's crazy is we've been taking a little bit of I don't want to say like intermittent breaks, but with the filming and getting adjusted to the things that we're up to, the podcast is sort of taking a back seat.
Right.
So it feels good to be back. And we were I was trying to think of because I wanted to start it with a music artist, because I find that music artists are a lot of fun to interview because you always have something going on. It's always the next thing. And you can talk about things you didn't, that you did in the past rather. And you've had a lot of recent stuff going on. So I was like, we got to get Nikki G on, and you're brand new. So welcome to the podcast, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, honestly, I guess we haven't had you on for whatever reason. I'm kind of surprised almost.
I think because before, to my knowledge, a lot of your records were SoundCloud only. And you were featured on Joe's stuff, but now you have your own album out there.
Yes, sir.
Instead of music videos and visual content. And I feel like now it's the best time to have you on.
Definitely, yeah. In the words of Joe B, I think you guys said the same thing to him, but I didn't really have much for people to go to at the time. So I'm glad I can potentially get some notoriety from this, even if it's just local notoriety. Any attention's good attention. So,
dude, you're gonna be huge in Africa.
Oh, dude,
we have an oddly large African following. It's funny. It's all from this. And actually, you should get on the platform called AudioMac. So AudioMac is they're kind of and they'd hate this, but they're kind of like a Spotify. But to me, I sort of put them if Spotify met Instagram and made a baby, because they're kind of a place where you follow friends and you have friends that you follow on the platform, and they repost stuff and it shows up on your feed as oh, look at that. My buddy Nikki G, not only did he just upload a song, he also liked this song and he's posted it to his page, and it's somebody else. Oh, if he likes it, maybe I'll like it.
Right.
So it's kind of like a feed, like an Instagram feed, but of just music.
Pretty dope.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend hopping on there. It's another free way to get your music out there. They have a really big, I think Nigeria in particular.
Yeah.
It's quite large for the platform.
And actually, it's kind of funny because even I got a couple of friends from Kenya. They live here, but it's similar to me. I'm first gen American, they're the same thing.
Oh, damn.
But they're from Kenya, and when everybody's using even SoundCloud back in the day, when we were in middle school, people were using SoundCloud, they were using AudioMac, oddly enough. I brought up Audio because I asked them, because I was it's funny because we have a ton of people that listen in that area. And he was like, oh yeah, we used to use AudioMac all the time. Now, every now and then. But it is funny because he was yeah, they're kind of coming back a little, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just oh yeah, what do you know?
Yeah.
But they have a feed, right? Like you said, it's more of a social media sharing music with people, more so than you can share music on Spotify, but really when you're on Spotify, you're just let me look up this song and listen to it. It's not let me listen to this playlist. There, it's more you can see what your friends are listening to, and basically recommend songs. It'll recommend songs to you based on what your friends listen to and blah blah blah, who you follow. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, good idea.
Also, if you ever see me on my phone, I'm just keeping a timer for the cameras because we have to restart them.
I'm already insulted.
every 25 minutes. I got to.
You should have an internal clock as a musician.
Yeah. It's keep it.
Beep, you're not going to keep time for the whole hour.
But dude, so this might be very potentially a lot of times people, they're just hearing about you. So maybe a little bit about how you started, what got you interested in making rap and hip hop and all that kind of stuff. Where did it all begin?
Sure. So I was born on December. Yeah, I guess like I wrote my first song at 9 years old in 3rd grade, and it was going to be a rock song. I was going to get a band together in elementary school. I had like the melody. I didn't know how to read music or write it, but I had all the melodies like written out, all the lyrics and stuff. And I was starting to get my classmates in on it. Obviously, I didn't know how to play any instruments or anything, so nothing came of that. But I'd say I started like rapping in like 5th grade, maybe like 10, 11, 12 years old, somewhere in that area. Started for like school projects and stuff. And people would come up to me and be like, yo, that was sick. I remember I rapped at a school assembly for Orange Day. Nice. One of our teachers' favorite color was orange, so I made a little rap about it. Dropped the mic at the end. Everyone went, oh, shit. It was a good time. But like, it definitely started as a means to like fit in or get like respect, you know? And once I got like that first hit of, oh, damn, like I feel good about myself because other people are validating me, then it's like, okay, now I need to be the best at this.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a lot. I have probably 1,000 songs in my notes. I'm lucky they've...
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of them, you know, 950 of them are real shit. But, you know, it took all those songs to get where I'm at now. So, yeah, I'd say nowadays the music, I no longer look for people's validation when I'm making stuff. Like, if I like it, I want to put it out so I can listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm making music I like to listen to. A famous jazz trumpeter said he was in a Q&A and he got a question like, do you play music for yourself or for the listener? And he kind of thought about it for a second. And he said, you know, you play for the listener, but the first listener is yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a big part of it for me. It's just enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's also kind of like, you know, like you want to put out like your music and not someone else's. And like, if you're making it to your taste and like something you want to listen to, you're not really like it's more authentic. I feel like you're not like pandering. It's like, I know people want to get big and stuff, but realistically, like, you want to be making because another thing is like people make music for other people and they get to a point where they're like, oh, like I feel like this isn't my music and I want to do more, you know, and then they become a completely different artist. But I feel like if you kind of start with that and, you know, people kind of like respect that and then pick up on it and then you get like actual fans, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Like this guy fucks with my actual music, not the music I made because I thought it was going to go viral for a sec. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And what kind of an empty life is that when like you just are, you know, you're just making stuff because you know it'll get listens and not that you actually care about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of like people that are like, oh, I just want the lifestyle, so I'll just say whatever. But it's kind of just, it's like, it's you don't have to like do the whole I gotta find my sound thing because you're kind of just doing it. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, and it develops over time. You know, your taste changes, what you want to hear from yourself changes. I kind of think of it like what you guys were just saying, like a relationship. Like if I want to be with this, you know, super attractive girl, but I can't act myself the whole time, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point of being in that relationship? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It's like a terrible life, you know what I mean? I mean, the sex is great, but fuck 90 other % of my life, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Especially if you have to like fake who you are. I feel like there's it's definitely common, more common maybe today than ever. Is especially with like the advent, not to be this fucking guy, but the advent of social media, you know, but like it's easier to flex and it's easier to project like you're this kind of person. And then if they go and they meet you and you're really not that kind of person, it's like, you know, what are you really doing?
Right.
You know?
It takes a lot of energy, I feel like, to keep up a front like that. And it's just like taking away from energy you could be using towards something else. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I feel like you should never give 100% to something because like in the back of your mind, you're like, blocked off a section of your brain to be this fake person, you know? So it's like, I don't know, it isn't. It's just not worth it, right?
I'm actually kind of curious. So I remember the first time I ever recorded Joe, which is probably not a time that you're thinking. Back when Joe was maybe around like 10, 11 or so.
Oh my God.
We did this cover of like, I brought over a bunch of like little music gear and I had auto-tune and we covered that.
Wasn't it classic?
No, it wasn't classic. Tonight.
Yeah, that hot shot radio song.
Tonight. Okay.
I've heard about it. I haven't heard the actual recording.
So that I think was Joe sort of, I think was his like, oh, this is a lot of fun. But did you guys know each other early in school like that?
No, so I always knew of him. Like I remember from an early age, driving past his house, my parents would be like, oh, the Barussos live there. I was like, oh shit, I got to get to know them.
Yeah.
And I'd always see him at like Friday night football games and stuff, you know, chasing the girls around and shit.
Sounds like Joe.
Yeah, we never actually talked till I was a freshman. He was a sophomore. And I was dropping these little 4-bar snippets on Instagram like every Friday, 4-bar Friday. And he saw them and he like reached out to me. He's like, yo, you rap, come through. Went through to the camper, smoking weed in like within 5 minutes and started freestyling and connected pretty instantly. Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually pretty interesting. So that means that Joe and you had sort of developed your rapping completely independent of each other.
No doubt.
And sort of found each other because you had like very similar interests. And the fact that it was like that too, where you're posting on social and he's like, hey man, come through. And then like, you guys just like foster a relationship like that. Cause like I've been to that camper, dude. And like he's always pressuring. He's always pressuring me to do like verses and stuff. And I'm like, he's like, come on, man, do it. It's like, you'd think it would be something about dare, but it's just about doing rap, And so he wants everyone to do something, even if it sucks. He loves that people try. So I've definitely tried for Joe.
That's so funny.
Totally a different ball game when you show up and it's almost like you got a moment to prove like, hey, yes, I can do this. It wasn't 70 million takes for the Instagram. It's like, no, I can actually do this.
Right.
So was that like the first initial like meeting, like a little bit of a pressure thing, or was it like kind of fun, like right off the bat?
I think it was just like meeting anyone for the first time, but it definitely had that aspect of, okay, I need to prove myself, even though I didn't really have much to do so with at the time. My material was pretty ass, but
right. But
that's also both young. So
right.
Exactly. I was gonna say that's you back then, or you now thinking of your talent back then versus you then being like, all right, I can do this.
Right.
And Joe also being at a similar, like you guys being at a similar level with, I'm sure both of you, if you were to look back at you at 14, 15, you'd be like, oh, it's disgusting.
Right. And I think that's something that doesn't stop either. It's like, even just in life, you look back at yourself like 3 years ago and you're like, oh man, like the cringe.
Believe me.
Yeah.
And it's the same with my writing. I look back even a year ago and I'm like, damn, like I'm so far ahead of where I've came. So
I feel like a lot of the time too, it's like, you're doing it and you're like, all right, yeah, like I know where I want to be and like, this is good. But like, I also know like, this isn't like, but you need to get it out because you got to keep doing it. Otherwise you're never going to get there.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, this is good for now, but I know where I could be and where I should be. So it's like, keep moving on. I mean, do you freestyle? Like, I know Joe does a lot of freestyle, but like.
For sure. Most of the time it's like with Joe B. And that was like the beginning of it, like freestyling every day. Like, man, we need to record this and then keep freestyling. And I will honestly say, like, I'll never say anyone's a better rapper than me because that's like my foundation. Like, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
Not so much as I used to be, but that'll always be a part of me. But that man off the top, as you guys know, is like Harry Mack levels of fucking.
Yeah, he is
craziness.
Like, you know what I think a part of that is? And just like any sort of like skill is just the hours behind it. And he is just always placing himself in circumstances where he's forcing himself to freestyle for hours and hours and hours on end.
Or at parties, taking himself out of his comfort zone and high pressure situations. Yeah. And that's what you got to do.
Were you at that New Year's Eve party? The one where it was like
2020 or something?
Yeah, it was the 2020 New Year's party where we had the video. And
I wasn't there.
You weren't there. Okay,
I was sick though.
Yeah, I feel like you would have added a lot to that freestyle because Joe was just too obviously like the better freestyler.
Right.
He needed someone else there to challenge him. You know.
Yeah. There are moments where I've surpassed him. Just moments, but I hold those dear to my heart.
Yeah, dude. It's like your friend that like beats you at a video game, then you beat him like 1 or 2 times. You're like, I kicked your ass that one time. So.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
now, one thing I will say you are better than Joe at Joe. I know you're listening to this. Is your melody and harmonies. Because, and I was actually curious, where do you have this ability to generate, like, as an example, we'll be editing or like we'll be doing like your harmonies or whatever in Melodyne. And you'll be like, oh no, I think you have it on the B. It's supposed to be on the G. And I'm like, what? How does he know?
Right.
And like, you're just hearing it. You're not even really looking at the screen. I'm like, so where does that ability come from?
I was in band from 5th grade to college. I played trumpet. I was a pretty decent player. I made all-state in my my high school years, my sophomore year.
Wow.
And just have a trained development of my ear, I guess. I don't like Joe B will always be like, man, you have perfect pitch. It's like, no. Remember that clip I sent you on Instagram of the I don't know if this is proper politically correct terminology, but the autistic musical savant who he could hear one piece for 30 seconds and play the whole piece and improvise on it forever.
Oh, I think I saw the same thing. Yeah, like he was playing piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Yeah.
And there are people that can just hear a pitch and be like, oh, that's that. And like, for me, I can't identify what that note is, but like, I have to identify like where A is first, like no, and then I can be like, oh, okay, this is this note based on where that is. So it's called relative pitch.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Wow.
I've heard it. And then people like to be like, it's different, it's not the same,
It
which
is, it is.
But like, still, it's pretty good that you even have that.
Right.
I feel like
Yeah.
sound is such a weird thing to, like, you know what it is, but you're like, what is the letter though? You know what I mean? I don't know.
And that's where reading music and learning all the scales and all that gibberish comes from. Is like, oh, I can identify, what that note is called.
Yeah, dude, I hear stuff like that. I don't know the letter of it, but like I'll hear a neighbor mowing the lawn and it'll be like, and I'll instantly think of like the note, not because I think most people associate just noise with noise, but most every noise comes with its relative pitch too.
Right.
Whether it's like in between a semitone or not is like, another discussion, but it's just like, it's funny. But so I guess like being in band and stuff is really how you were able to get to that like level of like harmony generation then too.
For sure.
Because I know like with your music in particular, there's a lot of sections where it's like deliberate harmonies, not like sometimes I'll get stuff where an artist has put in like, oh, here's a unison, just figure out a harmony for me.
Right. Or octaves.
Yeah, octaves, yeah.
I feel like too, like a wind instrument like the trumpet too is like more translatable to singing than it is like, well, obviously drums, but like, it's like breath-based and, it's kind of like a voice-ish, similar to like how a saxophone is like
voice-ish, yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that you have a good sense of that type of stuff. And I mean, dude, 5th grade to college, like that's a long time, And you're saying like, it's not like you were some schmuck, you know what I'm saying? You're making the all-state band, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, and you can definitely hear it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely can. Do you think you'll ever have like just because you have this talent? I'm assuming you still have a trumpet lying around.
I do.
So, do you think you'll ever slap a little trumpet track on something?
I've thought about taking like a solo and an outro or two. I really want to get into beat making because, like you said, like I have like the theory knowledge and shit. So I think starting to produce would be a big step for me. It would just be learning the software and learning the tools in the software. That would be
that's
time consuming.
That's always the hardest part because it's like what you want it to do, but what button clicks does it take to get there?
Right.
So yeah, I guess I could always point you in the right direction if you ever felt like going down that path. But I know with beat making in particular, like a lot of these guys really like Ableton, but Ableton is just, I don't even know. It looks like gibberish to me.
True.
To be honest, if you put in like dedicated time, like to like learning a software, like within a year, you'd be comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Like getting comfortable with the software at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like you could to his point, within a year, you could probably get to the point where you'd be able to program your own beats, but maybe you'd want to track it out and have someone else mix it. Do you know what I mean? So you can alleviate the stress of, the beat has to sound perfect.
Right.
But you can get to the point of this is what I want the beat to be, and I can tell someone else how to make it better. Because like the whole mixing craft is like another 5-10 years of dedication of learning EQs and compressors and all that kind of stuff, which you can obviously learn at the same time, but takes a long time to get really good.
True.
So dude, talk about your music a little bit though. So this one we have Start Anew. Where does it come from? I know where it comes from, obviously, but for as someone who doesn't know you, how did Start Anew come about?
Like the single or the album?
The whole album.
So yeah, the theme of the album is to start anew, a 12-step program. I am a member of a 12-step program that it's for people in recovery from addiction and stuff. And so the album came about mostly from once I got out of my treatment, and I started just feeling a passion to do something again. And that's really the base of the whole thing. I tried to make it in a way. I didn't write the album like this, but so each track relates to the correlating step within the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. So yeah, it plays pretty well conceptually. It's not perfect because I didn't write it that way, but that's a large majority of what the album is about, is just dealing with these crazy emotions you get after sobering up, and like trying to cope with the damage you've left behind and make amends to people, and find a new meaning, start anew, turn a new leaf type of thing. So yeah.
And do you think, I don't know how comfortable you are in talking about like your addiction or
Very
anything.
comfortable.
Okay. So like because I know a lot of people struggle with this stuff.
Mhm.
And so like if you're talking to someone who's like kind of in it, like what was like a sort of like turning point for you to be like, ah, shit, like I got to do something about this.
Sure. Yeah, I did not quit on my own accord. I was going to be sectioned into detox if I didn't. Well, I had to. It was either I went to the hospital, I was drinking like a liter of Tito's every single night.
Damn,
Oh my God.
really,
Yeah.
dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn, it got bad.
It got bad. So I'd buy the $30, 1.75 liters of Tito's, and I'd have more than half of that drank every single day. I'd go to the liquor store like every 3 days. And I wasn't even 21 yet. I mean, I had turned 21 and got sent to detox in May of 2022. So I'd been 21 for like 6 months, but I was getting alcohol for at least 2 years before that on a very consistent basis, 2 to 3 times a week, making runs to the store.
Wow.
And it was just really bad. And I remember having the thought several times, I was a blackout drinker. Like 9 out of 10 times I blacked out. First time I drank, I blacked out. The last time I drank, I blacked out. Like there was no improvement.
Wow.
Really? First time?
Yeah, first time blacked out.
Oh my God.
Wow.
How old were you? You don't know yet.
15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So I feel like you probably got introduced to alcohol in a very unhealthy way. Like instead of like, I guess like this is why for people that do wait until they're 21, they can be introduced to the idea of like sitting at a club, or not even a club, like a really nice fancy place, and I'll try the espresso martini. But unfortunately, you're kind of introduced into it, I'm guessing through like party means.
For sure.
Yeah, okay. And so that serves as like the basis of like where the addiction kind of comes from then, huh?
Right. And it's a pro and a con because people, they say it runs in your family and whatnot. Like addiction runs heavily in my family. And, part of me feels lucky I discovered it so early. And, I got hit so hard with it at such an early age because I still have so much to live for. And I didn't cause that much wreckage. While you got people that are like 50 years old realizing they're alcoholics, like right now, like, holy shit, they've done so much wreckage in their lives.
Yeah.
So pros and cons to everything for sure.
It's true. You
Right.
it's definitely a lot easier to bounce back. And like, you got to think, right, you got like whatever, the last like 80% of your life to just like live it without it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, do you like, you said like, I know, like you said, it like runs in the family, that type of thing. Was it like your family that was like, hey dude, maybe we should go do something about this? Or
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And, they couldn't get through to me for a little bit, but, my parents had found me like in oblivion so many times, just laying in my bed. Like they were so scared for my health, like scared I'm going to wake up and choke on my own vomit,
Yeah.
I mean, did any of them like go through something similar and they were like, hey, listen, like we get it?
Yeah, both of my parents are recovering alcoholics.
Okay.
So they were incredibly influential,
Well, I feel like that definitely, like, it's good recovering, right? Like, they definitely, like, could empathize with you and kind of help you through it. I'm sure it was, like, a huge, like, I want to say benefit, but yeah, right? Just having somebody who'd been through it and also came out the other side and was like, hey, dude, we're here for you, that type of thing.
For sure. I remember we were in Florida, I think this was 2021, and we were there a week. And, I remember sitting on the porch with my dad. I had a good buzz going. My sisters were buying me drinks and stuff, but I was like, how the fuck do you do it? Like, I can't even comprehend like a month sober. And this guy had like years on years on years. And he's just like, Nicholas, I don't even think about it anymore. And I can relate to that so much more now. Like I only have like 15 months but it's like, at the beginning, it's like one day at a time, one moment at a time, but once you build up those days, it's like your life gets so much better without it. If you're someone like me. And
I feel like part of it too, like, you just gotta think about like, man, I got a good streak going, and you're like, I kind of want to keep the streak. You know what I mean?
For
like,
sure.
I feel like it almost becomes like a thing where you're like, look at all this time though. Do I really want to break that?
Yeah.
But 15 months is good, dude. Good for you.
Thanks,
Man.
Seriously. And that's the thing too, is like I try to tell people that like that are even like they're not so far down the rabbit hole of like being like blacking out all the time and stuff like that, but even just like I'll say like the more casual drinkers is that like like your brain gets clearer, you lose weight. Like that's the thing is like I have it In my own life, I know people that I'm trying to phrase this in a way that doesn't out people, but I have people in my own life who I know for a fact.
Oh yeah, who
are who for a fact are functioning alcoholics, and to the point where like it's like very blatantly obvious, and it's like you just want to grab them and be like, dude, find something else to do,
right?
Please.
It is very normalized too.
They get away with it because they're funny and charismatic, and they're a good time, and they're the life of the party.
Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly though, like it's kind of a thing where it's like it's almost, I would say, worse to be like like you went crazy binge drink, but then you were like, it was obviously a problem, right? You were like, okay, I know there's a problem. Looks like my life is severely affected. But when it's like not enough of a problem to where you're like, I should probably do something about this, like you're more a casual alcoholic where it's not like you're not blacking out all the time, but you're basically getting drunk every day. It's like, it's way more normalized, I feel like. And it's like, I feel like under the radar worse than that situation, because then you sustain it for most of your life.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a serious problem later because you've been doing a little bit of, chipping away every single day for years and years and years. And that's just how humans work. Is just like whatever you do consistently is what you're going to be in the end, right? So it's like I feel like when almost doing it all at once was like it was an obvious problem you changed.
Yeah, like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And like I look at these people and I'm like, damn, dude, like you're like in your 50s. Again, not saying any names, but you're in your 50s and you're getting drunk all the time, and like, it's all fun and games until like you die, dude. Right. And it's like you're starting to get to an age where like, like it's not even like a weight problem anymore. You're like legitimately poisoning yourself all the time. And I don't know. But so like I do really appreciate your messaging, because like I feel like it needs to be heard a lot more, especially for those that don't have the ability to just have a single drink one night a month, and have that sort of restraint. Like some people, when they have that one drink, they can't stop going, and like that just, anyway, I don't want to harp on it for too long, but it is an important topic,
No doubt.
And definitely like the, sort of the cornerstone of how the album functions. So I think it's good to talk about.
Yeah. I've had actually a lot of people in recovery, a lot of them can't listen to the same music they listen to in active addiction because it gives them those triggers and whatnot. And I've had people come up to me and tell me like, my album is the first music they've listened to since being sober, and they love it and they listen to it all the time. And like,
oh wow,
that goes so much deeper than just like the music. You know what I mean? Like I'm giving these people like a therapeutic session for something they love, but they can't do the same thing anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I'm back again.
Finally,
my own hand.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of, I can see that just mainly because like most rap and hip hop like very much just glorifies all that type of shit. Because again, like most of it's like club music, and like everybody's like, all right, let's go to the club and get fucked up. And then you're listening to music like, let's go to the club and get fucked up. And like, that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
right? So everybody's like, it's something to relate to, but I could definitely see how that would be triggering, because I don't know, like even just singing it right now, I'm like, oh, I got FOMO. Like, let's go to the club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like one of those. It's like one of those things. So, but that's interesting though, because that's a lot of music. So I feel like it's kind of almost hard if you're into that genre to find something that isn't like that. That's upbeat, I guess.
Yeah.
Most upbeat music, or like music that's meant to be high energy, involves like, let's go get fucked up and pop bottles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And I think I can still rap about that stuff. Like you got Kendrick Lamar's Swimming Pools, which is like a drinking anthem. Well, it's disguised as a drinking anthem, but it's really, anti-drinking. So, and
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Kind of like even your verse in Moonshine Dreams is like is very much like that, where like if you just listen to it surface level, you might glaze over and think that you're not. Your head's above the Moonshine Dreams, which actually a new single coming out. Hopefully I'll have this podcast edited in time for the actual drop. But that's when is it?
Yeah.
It's this Friday, August 4th, 7 p.m. on Joe Ego's YouTube channel.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a fun music
Pretty
video
stoked.
shoot too, man. That was like that probably was the most involved music video shoot we had. I mean, like, granted, you're the one with all the pro riders for Start Anew, though, that was like a different thing, because we had a bunch of like actual pro level riders like doing dirt bike stunts and stuff with you like in a tube, like doing the verses and stuff, and they're like flying over your head and whatnot.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Good time.
The response to that was like really good too, huh?
Yeah. People come up to me still and they're like, "Oh my God, Nick, I just saw the dirt bike one." And it's like, damn,
Cool.
did something cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
I
pretty
love
sweet.
that.
Yeah.
So, like, what's in? I remember you've been sending me notes, and I apologize, I haven't been exactly replying.
No
But
worries.
you've been really excited about this new material. So you're like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, the last stuff was good, but this new stuff, man, I'm so excited for it. So, what has you so hyped about it?
It's a concept album, and I've always loved concept albums, Pink Floyd, Kendrick Lamar, the list goes on, it's something that I think will take people a little bit of time to fully understand. And I don't want to give too much away, but it is along the lines of recovery again. And it's really challenging me creatively. Like it's giving me these boundaries and parameters that I have to, write within. And I love that. Like I love having a structure to my stuff instead of just writing like freestyles and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure.
And every song has a very important role in the stories of the album.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It's gonna be good.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
How does that now? How long did it take you to? Was this something that kind of naturally came up, or did you sort of like set a structure and then say, "All right, let me fit all my songs in there"?
So the title actually came first, and it actually came from Joe B. And he kind of came up with a concept, and I was like, I love the title, and it kind of has like a double meaning to it. And I was like, but I don't really like the way you're taking the concept. And then I kind of just thought about it and got a whole different concept, brought it to him. He's like, that's dope. I just started writing, like each song, it's like, it's a story format. It's not chronological, but it follows paths. And, I just started picking it out and came up with a lot of good motifs for the album, things that repeat and come back around.
You did that on the first album too, actually.
No
A
doubt.
lot.
Yeah. This one is just a lot deeper.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm excited.
That's
Do you,
sweet.
so do you guys usually whatever, you write a song, like bounce them off each other a lot and
No.
kind of just like run them by each other? Like, hey, what do you think about this? And
No doubt.
yeah.
Yeah. For a while, it was like, if he didn't approve a verse that I wrote, it was like, I'm not releasing it. Like, I'm too scared. But like, I do accept his criticism nowadays, but like, I really do trust my ear as well. So I'll still show him stuff to, get his opinion on it. But if he's like, you should rewrite this line. Like, I think in Moonshine Dreams, he had a line that he thought could have been rewrote. And I was like, I like it and kept it. And we bounce off each other for sure. And we make each other better writers, better musicians,
Yeah. Well, it's good to
It's
have
pretty cool.
that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
do you
know?
guys, is there because I mean, you guys are obviously friends from the same area and school and everything. Is there is it just you two, or is there like a larger group or like community of like rappers in the area? You know what I mean?
There definitely is a lot of, rappers or singers in the area. I just, I don't know how to say this kindly. They're not that wonderful. You know what I mean?
It is what it is. You know what I mean?
I've
Like,
heard
you guys
rappers
don't
everywhere.
mesh with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's a taste thing, and
Right.
Exactly. Like you wouldn't you take Joe's opinion because like you respect him and like his work and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, and vice versa, I'm sure,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely
But-
heard some of the other locale work.
Right.
And no shade to them. I think they're still finding themselves.
Right.
But I also think to a certain degree, there's like, I don't know how many years it would really take to get, like sometimes people just have an it factor. And I think that there's certain people that will be like the David Goggins of the world. Like you can just overwork a lack of an it factor. And maybe
Right.
that's true. But I think for certain things like art, it's really hard to not have an it and overcome it. I don't know. That's maybe my feeling about it. I'm sure there probably is. Maybe if you put like 20 years into painting and you weren't a painter, I'm sure eventually you could become a good painter.
Right.
But sometimes there just is a person who sits down at an easel at 7 years old and is like immediately someone's like, there's something interesting about this guy.
right.
And I feel like that's very, very true for
It definitely-
singers and vocalists because like if you have a not so good voice, it's like no matter how in pitch you are or on time you are, it doesn't get rid of that.
I feel like
Right.
singing is like probably one of like the only things where if your voice just doesn't sound good, it just doesn't
You're just
sound
fucked,
like
dude.
I'm
Right.
sorry.
Can't do
because
anything about it.
A lot of the time, you see somebody who's good at something, whether it's art or whatever, and really it's like you're like, wow, that guy's so good at that, but you're like, okay, well, like you kind of realize that, well, that guy probably put like hundreds of hours into doing this. Like nobody's
Yeah.
just like, this guy's amazing at this. It's like,
Right.
if you do something for the first time, like you're never going to be amazing at it, but some people are like, wow, that's okay. Like that guy's probably going to be like light years away from the guy that started out shitty. Like that guy's a prodigy.
Yeah, right,
but the first thing he did still sucked. It was just okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like most of the time it's like, well, like even like, you see Joe B and you're like, oh, he's so good at freestyling. I'm like, dude, all this, like you said, all this guy does is freestyle. Of course he's good at freestyle. It's like one of those things where it's like, he's just like, you make yourself undeniable. It's like you do it so much that it's impossible for you to be bad at it.
Yeah.
And
but
like,
the voice thing, to your point,
voice is the one. I feel like
it's tough, dude. If you got a bad voice, like I don't care how on pitch you are or how on time you are. Like if people just don't like your voice, like you're just kind of fucked. Like that's just it.
Yeah, I think like you guys were saying, there's certain things you can do. You learn to pronounce your vowels better when you're singing, or like open up your throat. But like, you have a set of windpipes or vocal cords, you know what I mean? Those are yours. It's not like you can get better ones, swap them out. Maybe once Elon invents it or something. But.
Yeah, that's right, dude. Elon's got a vocal pipe swap in the future. Want to sound like Drake? Screw AI. We'll give you his pipes.
Neuralink's gonna have auto-tune on it.
Yeah, dude.
But that's the thing, dude. Like even Drake, like you get anybody to rap his songs and they're just not gonna sound nearly as good because like something about his voice and the way that they edit it just sounds great.
Yeah, it's true.
And like it's just that is like weirdly unique in like voice specifically is like, you have a timbre and it's just, it is what it is. Right. You can't adjust it,
Kind of a little comment. I've always viewed the microphone as like an instrument and within itself. And it's like your voice is like how you play the microphone. And like that certain timbre you're talking about with Drake, it's like he knows exactly how to play the microphone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like even positioning with the microphone, like being out here versus being really, really close.
Right.
The closer you get, the more you can really get the deeper sounding of your voice.
Yes.
But like also if you're singing, that might not be advantageous because it might be adding too much low end to the mix. But when you're in radio, it's better to be super close because this is kind of like how we've gotten used to hearing radio sounding voices, is to hear the more low end sound of the voice.
Right. You can see it in like professional singers in the studio. Like they like bob their head back and forth during certain, I don't know, parts of the song.
Yeah,
it's very true.
I mean,
like this, and whenever they belt, they'll kind of back up for a second.
Exactly.
But dude, and like, it's true though. I kind of like that though. It really is, if you think about it. It's like, you kind of need to know how to work the mic and then even just like mic selection and stuff like that too. It's like,
although mic selection, oddly enough, usually comes down to the producer or the mix engineer or recording engineer that you're with, typically, unless you as an artist are so well versed in your microphone knowledge that this is my microphone,
Right.
But I feel like that's been happening. I mean, I don't know. I know they do microphone sponsorships and stuff every now and then. Like I know I have like the Slate VMS system and they came out with a Snoop Dogg version. So I know Snoop Dogg has one, but I don't know if it's like the one he uses,
True.
But so you got this you got stuff in the pipeline here. Now, when do you think you're trying to, because you're still in the process of writing it, right?
Yeah, I've written 5 out of 11 songs.
Okay. All right, this gives me some time to finish Joe B's stuff.
Yeah.
I'm working over here, man. He's like, oh yeah, we could have this done like by the end of the summer, right? I'm like, yeah, sure, dude, sounds good.
Just quit my job.
Yeah, dude.
Quit all my aspirations.
Yeah, dude. I don't want to be an actor. I wanted to be Joe B's mixer. But that's okay. That's cool. So it's good. I'm glad you're taking your time with it, because it is one of those things. Like, I think I might have even said this to you when we were producing. It's like you can only do one release. There's no re-releases.
Right.
I mean, there kind of is, but there really isn't. You kind of get one shot at your release. So it's like you might as well get it as perfect as you want it, which is as much as Joe at times can be, in my opinion, nitpicky about his stuff, is I let him do that because it's like at the end of the day, like this is his thing. He can only drop it one time. So like I'll give him all the creative freedom that he wants,
Right. And that's so true because I've heard like 1 or 2 things. I was like, oh, I wish we did an effect there. There's actually, I think on the song Long Ride, there's a part I'm hitting a harmony in the verse. And like I can hear myself in the harmony, like not even say words. I'm just like humming.
Oh yeah, like humming it. Yeah.
And I don't think anyone would notice that, but it like bugs me. And I was like, I wish I noticed that before. But
I feel like it's one of those things too. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I feel like if I pick up on something like random and subtle in a song, like I will fixate on it every time I hear it.
Oh, it'll be the only thing you hear.
It'll be the only thing. And I'm like, it's so hard for me to get that out of my head. I don't know why.
Yeah. I feel like, especially with your own music too, because we are so, if you're smart, you're hypercritical of your own work. So things like that will stick out. But the best part about it is generally you don't really know those things until you release. I really do believe that like what we hear in the studio versus when it drops on Spotify is a completely different listening experience.
True.
Because you're listening to it as like, this is finito. This is the final thing. This is what everyone's listening to. So now I'm listening to it with different ears. In previous mixes, when I was doing like full bands and stuff, sometimes I'd be like, the snare's too bright. The snare's too loud. I should have had that come down. So then what would happen though is then I'd go to do another project and now I would have those notes in my head. So now I imagine like, or I don't even want to imagine, like, is that how you're feeling about like when you're listening back to the album? Do you find that like you have things in the future you're going to be making changes with, or like things you're going to look for?
Like for the album I dropped, or just like for the new material?
Like when you're, so like based on the album that you have dropped, are there things you're like, oh, I love this, but on the next album, I'm going to approach it a little differently?
Yeah, I think so. It's a very different album, this next one I'm writing, but I think just in general, like you hear stuff, you learn from it. Lyrical decisions, melodic decisions, stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah.
So do you have any features besides, I mean, I guess Moonshine Dreams, is that?
It's a collaborative track, so it's by me and Joe. We wrote it together.
So is that's not on the album, is it? It's just a sick.
I think it's actually going to go on his album, I'm pretty sure. But not on mine.
On Spotify though, I think now it'll link you guys, right?
I think so. I think the song will drop under both of our profiles.
Oh,
okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're doing that because like it makes it better so that it's sort of like double the exposure.
Right.
Because honestly, dude, I go to look up Joe Ego on like Instagram. Like if I go to like Instagram and I go Joe Ego, his name just like does not pop up. It's very frustrating. Like if I want to do like if I'm like posting a workout video and I want to tag a Joe Ego song because I was listening to it while I was working out, doesn't come up. Type in Nikki G, you pop up.
Yeah.
So Joe's shadow banned, dude. He must have been talking about politics or something.
Yeah, he was talking about all this politics, dude. Yeah, but it's weird, dude. I can't like find him on Instagram. But like, so it's good that like with Moonshine Dreams, I think you will be associated with that because like I'll actually be able to put it up on my story.
Right.
Is Joe gonna like anchor you down to his like you can't find him, or is Nicky gonna pull him up? What's gonna happen?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
we'll be in the middle. I guess we'll find out.
Wait. So yeah, do you have any like features on
the next one?
Yeah.
Not at the moment. The 5 songs I've written have no features. Mm-hmm. And Joe really wants me to get him on there because he got me on his and all that.
You're like, fuck you, Joe. This is my shit.
Yeah. It's tough because he almost like needs to play a character. And like, I kind of need to tell him, this is exactly what you need to write about. And I don't know if he'll be down with that restriction of his creative freedom. I mean, I'm sure.
I feel like it would be, I know it sounds like, a restriction of creative freedom, but it's almost like, it's like trying something new. It's like, hey, can you like figure something out in this character? Like, that'd be cool. I feel like that's an interesting thing, you know?
And also
like getting to rap as somebody else, basically.
Right. MF Doom-esque.
Yeah.
But also a very, if you guys really want to be making it a very real situation that you might be placed in, if, for example, you guys pop off, if and when you pop off, and all of a sudden you have a pop artist that says, hey, I really like Nikki G's stuff. I'd like him to do a rap verse in my pop song. Okay, but now you got to work in a certain set of constraints because it's a pop song. It's about this, and you have to write it so that it makes sense. You can't just write your own shit. It's got to weave in. It's just your style. So I think that asking an artist to say like be yourself, but in these constraints is a totally fair and honestly a good exercise.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it should be viewed as like an exercise, you know?
For sure.
Did you ever watch that show? What was it called? With all the rap people, they like got them all together. It was Cardi B and Rhythm and Flow. Did you ever watch that show?
I did not.
Oh, dude, you should watch it. I know they only did 1 season. I think COVID kind of screwed it all up.
Yeah, they kept talking about season 2, and just again, I think you're right.
I think COVID kind of screwed the whole thing. But it's a good show because they Jovid, because they highlight all of these basic industry things that each of the contestant has to go through. So like one of the episodes, it's like all the contestants that made it through the last round have to do a music video. And then they have to do a feature song off of another major artist. So they have to write a verse off of another major artist's sound. And it's this exact problem, I should say, like exercise, you know?
Right.
But yeah, watch the show. I think you'd like it.
Go check it out.
Also, do you think in the same vein with features, do you think you'll have any singers?
That was, I guess, primarily what I was wondering, because I feel like
I really want to. I almost had a girl sing like on a layer with me on Forget You.
Oh, yeah.
She's such a good singer. Shout out Julia Hoyt.
Nice.
And I know a ton of really good singers. Like, you know, going to Berkeley and all that shit, and they're phenomenal pipes.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to, for sure. I've
Nice.
never written a hook for a girl, you know what I mean? It's like always writing with my voice in mind and my, you know, dynamic range or whatever.
Yeah.
So
And it's kind of like a weird like trust thing to kind of get somebody you don't know to be like, hey, can you write a hook for this? You know what I mean? Like unless you know what they've done in the past or something, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I know like even with Good Hustle, when we went to go do the acoustic song, so we did like a you know, back in this like 2019, 2020, we re-released the album, but all acoustic. And for the song Apple, we had a singer come in for it. And this is, I'll keep this as under wraps as I can, but we had one girl come in and she's a great singer and I have nothing against her. She did great, but it sounded a little bit too much like Evanescence-y and it wasn't really the vibe we were going for. And so I had to bring someone else in and like, that's just how it is. You know, it's like, and then that other girl was more what we were looking for. She obviously wasn't very happy about that. But like that's just was showbiz, baby. You know, I don't know what to say. Like, you know, like, and it was no knock on her. She's a great singer. It was just she just didn't fit the song, you know?
Right. It's just like a TV show audition or something. Like they have these huge actors come in and they just don't fit the part, regardless of how big their name is and how many numbers they bring to the show. Like,
or even how talented they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how good they literally are. It just sometimes can come down to in the acting world, he's got blue eyes. We really wanted someone with brown eyes.
It is what it
that
is.
Could be it.
It is what it is. It's like, I don't know. It's like testing out a product, you know, if you want to turn it into something black and white. And you're like, oh, well, this isn't the right tool for the job. And like people get sensitive because it's like, oh, well, like that was them performing and, you know, it's like
hurt
their idea or whatever. You know what I mean? Just for whatever reason.
The girl that showed up, her thing was like, well, like, you know, I drove all the way there and I put in my time and like, you didn't even pay me. And I was like, I can give you gas money. And I sent her gas money and she was like, you know what? No. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to.
I can't win with you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, dude, you know how many auditions I do and like all this shit and like I'll drive somewhere and do something and I never get paid for it. It's like,
people just get really sensitive around like art, you know what I mean? Like, I
get it. And I get it.
Like, basically, you like, she got rejected essentially, right? It's like rejection.
And
you know,
like, and she was like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, I don't know. I figured not hearing you on the track would be enough, but I don't, you know, I don't know. Maybe I was supposed to just
I get it, but yeah.
Maybe I was supposed to tell her. I don't know.
By the way, you're out.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I guess because maybe in her mind, like that would have been the more respectful thing to do, which I get. But I think in my mind, I'm so used to just not hearing back.
Yeah.
As like in the arts world, you apply all the time, you audition all the time, and the only way you find out is by not finding out, which is like a weird
It's
thing.
like kind of disrespectful, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah,
it's weird that it's like commonplace.
Yeah, see,
it's just like,
you see, so maybe it is disrespectful.
Well, you gotta think like, because then you're sitting there like, oh, well, I think I have something to do on this day if I get the part, but then they never tell you, and then you're like, I might have something to do next weekend, and then fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit different in that sense because I'm actually like sectioning off time in the future.
She's already done it. It's different. It's less so, but in what you're referring to, the acting thing, I think it's just disrespectful. It's just if you're running a business and you're like, somebody's like, let
have
me
the whole week off.
Let me
That'll
apply
literally
for
be
this.
like,
Let me apply for this position. Just say no. If the answer is no, say no. Don't just, you're going to get a yes or a nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
It's yes or nothing. I think I do wonder though if part of that is because there's like sometimes, and not all the times, but sometimes there's like 1,000 applicants.
No, dude. Mass email. It's
yeah,
fine. The only person you have to specifically email is the person who got the part.
True.
Everyone else can get a robot message.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean?
True.
Like, come on. That's just a fat excuse.
Yeah,
That's like,
it is. Now I'm siding with the studios. You know, during this strike.
they're probably just like, yeah, don't say anything. They'll all just sit there and make up reasons as to why we didn't email them back. Like this guy.
Yeah.
It's all fake, dude. They could, they don't. That's
oh, shit.
it's just, it's not acceptable.
All right, how are we doing on time? I think we're doing good. So I'm curious though, because you're very music focused, and you have tended to come to me and say like, oh, like, or I'll come to you and say, hey, let's shoot something. Do you have something in mind visually, like music video wise? Do you know what I mean? Like if like in the future you got any sort of concepts, or is that even something in your mind? Like sometimes when I think about a song, even if it doesn't have a video, I'll instantly think like, oh, this would be a sweet visual idea for it. Do you have anything like that kicking around?
Yeah, definitely for a couple songs on the last album. And in general, like I've always been super interested in film. Like, you know, I'll go through like the top IMDb, like top 100 movies of all time list and watch them all type shit. But, you know, nothing specific for the future, but I think, you know, it would be cool to like play like a Kendrick Lamar role and start like directing my own videos down the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like really come up with a vision, write it out, and then have someone sort of like realize the vision with like lenses and cameras and stuff.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. I think it's a really important part to music because I think music videos help take us from the audio and bring us the audio visual stimulant that can sometimes take even a longer song that's like, you know, 4 or 5 minutes long and make it feel like an experience, like a short film of some kind, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I'm like, I've always been like even like a lot of Joe B songs, like I'll hear them and I'm like, dude, I can already see like somebody, you know, whatever, riding in a car doing this, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And like a lot of like I've always been into though, like the idea of just having like, I don't know, audio and visuals just kind of go together so well, and you can kind of just really like set a mood with, you know, just like a little like imagery or coloring or whatever. Because like music does that really well, I feel like, is you can kind of like put somebody in a mood. As it's mood based, but you can also like set the mood with music, and then like just adding like a visual component, it kind of just like rounds out the experience. And like I always think like good music videos just kind of like level up, you know, songs for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When a music video is super good and like you hear the song, like you're at work or something and you're thinking of the video, it's like that's what I think makes like a good music video.
Yeah. When you get that like a recall, a later recall to it. Yeah, I think the mistake that I think sometimes newer artists will make when they start thinking about making a video, and I've definitely made this mistake too, is being too literal with the wordings. So like I remember when we were talking about the Moonshine Dreams video, I was bouncing ideas off of a buddy of mine, and he was like, "Oh, he's talking about like, you know, I hope he makes his dad proud. Like, it'd be cool, like if maybe he like was leaving his house and he was mad about his dad." I'm like, it's a little too on the nose, you know? It's like, like it's okay for the lyrics in the video to not be saying the same thing, even though they're related.
No doubt.
You know?
Yeah.
You were showing me, what was that video that you showed me?
I was showing. Did you have you seen the? I mean, all of his videos are crazy, but the music video for Riot, ASAP just dropped another video.
I have not.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. We'll show you it after this. But I mean, like all of his music videos, like he has historically had like the craziest video. I mean, like what's it called? Joe like loves the Lamborghini High music video.
Yeah, I saw that music video first time I tripped.
I mean, it's an insane video. It's like the craziest video ever, and you're just like, I don't even know how they edited this, but
it must have been like I just look at that. I'm like, what was that? A transition pack?
Dude, I mean, the whole thing is like an animated movie, but like I guess back on the like AV thing, not even specifically doing music videos, but like even like if you dropped something on your page that was like a few bars or like maybe a section of a song or a freestyle or whatever, but even just having like a looping visual to play with the whatever it was. Like I've seen people, and it's like sometimes they're like animated or like, but it just kind of like the tone matches the whatever it is. Maybe you don't want to drop a full song. Maybe you just want to, like you said, 4 Bar Friday, like drop a few bars or like a quick little like here's a taste of like a sick few lines that I thought just went really well, but they're not in a song yet. And I've seen some things like and people toss visuals over them, or like I just really like that idea because it's like really digestible. I feel like, and I don't know, it's like a
like. Do you have you know how like in Spotify, if you play a song on Spotify, it actually shows you a visual now? Do you have, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have Apple Music.
Oh, okay. Here, I'll show you very, very quickly. What's like an example? I know Sunday Morning has this for their song Circle the Sun, the video that I shot for them. But if you play the song Circle the Sun, it's like their music video comes up as you like play.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. So it's like, but it's not the actual video. It's just like a 5-second looping clip of the video.
Okay.
So like, it's just like a way to sort of like, you know, if like, cause I know a lot of people do this. Like if you're driving somewhere, you might have directions going on in your car, but you'll have your phone here. And so it kind of like serves as like a secondary screen while you're driving to sort of just like play something. So I'm kind of glad I showed you that. Cause like you can do all sorts of stuff. You could have like an artist draw up like just animation or like.
So like here, I'll show, not to show you another thing on.
Nah, keep showing him stuff.
But this account that I really
this podcast is called Showing Nikki G Videos.
Rhymes like dimes and basically plays songs over like digital paintings. And here, I'll just show you. But
The Doom song?
no.
Adam just said not specifically, but.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it just loops and plays the song or whatever.
Right.
All of his shit is like that.
Oh, it's sick.
And like he draws these and animates these. And
Adam just said he draws these and animates these. I'm just repeating it because you're not on the mic. That's all.
But yeah, I mean, I guess in case you wanted a reference. But
Oh, that's
they're just-
cool.
they're
That almost
dope.
reminds me of
He's
what
obviously a
the
really good artist. But
what the hell's his face there? Toby Lou kind of has art that looks like that for his
Yeah.
albums.
similar.
Do you know
And
Toby
then-
Lou?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. You might like him. You might like his stuff. It's pretty good.
Link me.
Yeah. Actually, though.
So we are getting down towards like the end of it. Is there anything you wanted to cover on? I feel like we've been doing a lot of talking here. I want to make sure you have plenty of time to talk. Is there anything you wanted to cover?
I don't think so. Thank you guys for having me out. You know, keep watching for the new material. Follow me on socials.
And we're
Yeah,
not
what do we
getting.
got?
You're not
Get the
allowed to
sound
leave here without doing a little thing here. So
I always got a verse for you.
yes. Okay. So
Exclusive.
Adam, I'm gonna have you stall some time while I set this
Oh
up.
yeah, sure. Also, what are the ats? Where can the people find you at on social media? What do we got?
Nikki G at Nikki G _37 on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Don't follow my Facebook. It's bad.
Just
Political shit. No, I'm just kidding.
middle
It's
school
all music.
photos and yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
If I do it?
Oh yeah.
Always ready, dude.
Try to go one take Timmy on this for y'all. Shout out Elkin Sosa for the beat. Yeah. Yeah. I don't care at all. I'ma go stare at the wall. I ain't got a fear of the fall. This life's not fair to us all. I was praying for God, but he's taking so long now. I don't care I've been trying to start buzzing again. That's why I got a lot of liquor living under my bed. I'm still looking for a feeling I know I'll never get again, and it kinda fucks with my head. But still I rise, it's not stop to the day I die. No cut-offs and no breaks in time. Commercial free, you versus me, you wasting time. You turn on me, a murder spree, a wasted life. You can't top me, that's a lot of space to climb. And if you're trying to tie me, put a space in time. A big bang, how I came to light. And so you might want to give the sun space to shine. Do I get it like I live it? Oh man, do I? I'm a joyride, honey, come enjoy the ride. If you want a real man, put your boy aside. Not everybody's living when we born to die. If only we could really learn to just enjoy the lives we got before we're gone with time. A one-stop ride, the game of life. Only get one try, gotta play it right. You better stop your mind from mistaking the right things from the wrong ones. Many times they can seem alike. You need a little darkness to see the light. Yeah, the shit that I got written, only gods could type. They didn't listen for a minute, now they start to like. I've been a ticking time bomb, waiting on the right moment to blow. Get a little spark, ignite. Bursting into the game like LeBron and Mike. I guess the winter time's here and I'm a water pipe. I ain't signed yet, but it's all alright. Cause when you're changing lives, that goes beyond any offered price.
Nice. All right.
Dude.
Did I cut the beat off too
Gonna have
soon?
to
No, that's
listen to that
perfect.
back.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And I just went a cappella for a second there. You know?
Yeah, that's great. All
Do
right.
it to him.
Sick, dude. That's great, dude.
Nikki
I'm out of
Jesus.
breath.
Yeah, yeah, dude. That actually might be one of my favorite lines. Nikki G's gonna live forever. Call him Nikki Jesus.
Yes, sir.
I still be saying that. Like I'll be like Nikki Jesus.
I wrote it. I was like, is this too dumb? And I was like, nah, it smacks.
That's great. Well, dude, thanks so much for coming. It was a ton of fun.
Thank you. Seriously.
Yeah, we'll be hanging soon, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We'll be spending some more 12-hour days in this very studio.
Yeah, that's
my God.
right,
Soon
dude.
come.
Make sure that AC works.
Yeah, they gotta have it in, dude. All right, I will talk to you soon, man.
Thank you guys.
See ya.
Deuces.
Thanks so much for listening to Bone Apple Tea. If you like the show, please give us a follow, like, comment, subscribe, whatever it is. Tell your friends about it. And make sure to follow us on Instagram. That's Bone Apple Tea V, BoneAppleTeava on Instagram. Thanks so much.